interesting. So, it's really nice, for the practical life you have given so many examples, especially for the Brahma, Lord Brahma, how he surrendered to Lord Krishna. It's really amazing experience. So I'm wondering how we can develop our tolerance. If you explain it a little more for me as well, very helpful.
How we can develop our tolerance.
Yeah, exactly.
The difficulties of the world have less impact and bearing on you the more that you are robust and full of Krishna consciousness. The more buoyant that you are with Krishna consciousness, the more it's like a vaccine. It's like being in a bubble. And things are just, they bounce off, they kind of roll off you. You still kind of deal with them, but you just address them in a different way. But the more that we are materially affected, and the lower our Krishna consciousness is, the more that every little thing seems to really get at us. Because we need to taste something. The nature of the soul is an Anandamayovyasa. We want to taste pleasure. So even in suffering, there's a sort of pleasure. Right? Even if we're being victimized or something, we get some ras out of it. We get some taste. But if we're getting param drishtva, nivartate, if we're getting taste from the Bhagavatam, we're relishing the taste of the holy name, our capacity and ability to deal with situations and not be overwhelmed or affected by them increases naturally, because we become more buoyant. We're just floating on the bubble of Krishna consciousness. And even someone's got a pen and they're trying to pop it. But our view and vision of the Shastra Chakshus, we see through the eyes of Scripture. Our eyes, they become, tinged with the salve of love, and we don't see with vengeful eyes. We see with a heart of pure love for Krishna, or at least purifying love for Krishna, or developing love for Krishna. And the less that we're affected by these things. Sometimes, though, we have to go through experiences, just like Lord Brahma here. You could say in one sense he should be intelligent enough to know better. And so should we sometimes. Sometimes Krishna can use his pure devotee to teach an example, not necessarily for that person, but for everyone. Or to teach that person how to experience something so that they can also have compassion for someone else who has that experience later. So Krishna's accomplishing so many different things. But as far as developing our tolerance, means that we have to really be taking shelter of Krishna. Because the only thing that allows us to assimilate and process negative material energy is understanding where that energy is coming from. Understanding that Krishna is the source of everything. And Krishna is trying to help me. And if I take more shelter of Krishna, and that's all that he's trying to do, is get us to take more and more shelter of him. Why? Because he knows that will bring us the ultimate pleasure. But if our sadhana is bad, our Krishna consciousness is bad, our interactions with devotees is bad, then everything is going to start to get on us. All these kind of little ghost monkeys on your back, they're going to start to come. So it just means that we have to really sincerely be getting a taste. And then you see, there are devotees, actually I think I said before that one very senior devotee, he was asked once, Maharaj, how do you deal with all of these issues that are going on, being a guru, a GBC, and in charge of spiritual community. And his statement was that, I just try to remember what the reality is. And the reality is that this is all temporary, and eventually will come to pass, as will I. So it's not going to last forever. No matter how distressful the situation is, it's not going to last forever. Eventually, at least you'll die. You'll be freed from the situation, at least. But generally, even if you have a bellyache or a headache or you're sick, it passes, right? Eventually it passes. So he said, so I just try to focus on the reality that this is temporary. And actually, where the real reality is that eventually one day I'll be in the spiritual world with Krishna and Radha, and we'll be, enjoying different pastimes in the spiritual world. Cowherd boys, Madhya Yashoda. That's the reality. That's the reality. It's just I keep forgetting. But that's the reality. And if you're able to assimilate that and be in that space, And when things come at you, you deal with them. Okay, this is just a temporary thing. I have to deal with it. It's not that I can neglect it, because tolerance also isn't neglect. Oh, I neglect this thing. I'm tolerating it. Get away from me. Leave me alone. No, it means you need to learn how to. I've recently been listening to some nice lectures by Dr. Vijay Purnaraj, and explaining how one has to really understand the field of activities and the way that the material energy works. And one can work inside that in whatever way one likes. But that ultimate truth and understanding is that Krishna is the source of everything. Does that help? Make sense? Okay, last question.
More lessons.